think we all kind of knew what was going to happen. The only question was for the AFC, is it going to be the Bills? Is it going to be the Bengals? Like, of course, it's going to be the Chiefs. And we got the Bengals kind of separated themselves from the Bills in a big way last week with that win. And we're going to get one first, maybe 1A in the AFC. The Chiefs have the most wins, but the Bengals seem to be playing better football. Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. As me and Rick have discussed, it doesn't mean anything, but we're going to get into it right now because obviously some things are going to change this week if half of those wins Joe Burrow has are in the AFC Championship game. Rick, how important is this? Let's just start with this. Who's going to win this game?
Who's going to win this game? Oof.
Oh, we weren't ready for that one. Wait. Before we do, I got to show everybody. Look, guys, this is what Rick got me for Christmas. These are Denver Broncos house slippers. I'm never going to take them off ever. Thanks, no. Rick.
Of course, dude. It's it's a thank you for, having me wear that I still own you sweatshirt next season. So had to give you a thank you present. No, I dude, you said it yourself, man. The Bengals separated themselves ahead of this AFC conference in a huge way last weekend when they were able to take down the Bills in convincing fashion. And I say convincing because a lot of us expected a closer game. And it seemed to me that the Bengals sort of saw that as a disrespect too, because they're like, we are a very good team. We went to the Super Bowl last year, we have had many conversations about this. Sorry, I'm speaking through burps. But we've had
30.
yeah, we're old. We've had many conversations about this. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They have gotten better this year. And they showed in that game against the Bills that the offensive line is no longer a worry. And that they just out physicaled the Bills, which the Bills are a very physical team themselves. So to out physical the Bills was huge. Who's going to win this game? This was a tough one for me. This was a very tough decision for me. But after what I saw last weekend against the Bills, I think I'm taking the Bengals to take this dub against Mahomes. Now, look, my heart wants the Chiefs to go on. I don't know what it is about me and what I like about Mahomes. Maybe it's similar to why I actually loved Brady when he was winning all those championships, and a lot of people didn't like him, right? And especially if you're in the AFC and the NFC East, or AFC East, you probably hated Tom Brady. But I love Mahomes, man. He's someone who, unfortunately, the Bears passed on, and a lot of other teams passed on, and he's just a generational talent. He is a quarterback that I want to see him successful throughout his entire career, and I want him to win. The thing is, he's got an ankle sprain. His team barely beat the Jaguars last week, and we gave credit to Chad Henne for doing what he did on that 98-yard drive. But dude, it's just the way the Bengals played last weekend against the Bills was just outstanding. There's nothing more I can say than they played perfect. They played outstanding, and they out-physicaled the Bills. I think I'm taking the Bengals to win this one, and it's gonna. I want to say it's gonna be a close game, but again, depending on the status of Mahomes, this may not be a close game. The Bengals might just be like, "Wow, look at us! Look at us! Look how good we are! Look how good we are!" And we told you that. So this might be another statement game for the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree. This would be a huge statement game. There's a couple things that I'm looking at. Actually, is there any way we can pause the pod for a second? I know this is unusual, but something has just come up really quick.
Yeah, sure. 1 sec.
Actually, I'll step away for 1 second. Okay.
That's up. Yeah. So while we have Kyle away for a second here, I'll just kind of go on a little bit more about the Bengals. And I mean, we already went over the Bengals, but again, just a little bit more talk about what Joe Burrow has done this year really is the Bengals quarterback. And this is a guy, again, who has come from LSU, won the national championship after being told in Ohio State, I believe, that he wasn't going to start. He was going to sit behind this person, that person. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to transfer. He transferred to LSU, became Joey Burr, Joey Cool, and won in LSU. How cool did he look in, when he won the national championship in the locker room with his, full uniform on, cigar in the mouth. Just, he looks so fucking cool. So he brings that winning attitude into his third year in the NFL, into his third year on the Bengals. And as much as I got to give credit to him, he's beaten Mahomes 3 times, right? And while we said that this isn't necessarily, like I said this, it's not necessarily a rivalry, or it's not necessarily like, okay, like he's killing the Chiefs. In this sense, if he goes 2-0 in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, it starts to become something for the Chiefs to worry about. He becomes a Chiefs killer, man, and he becomes a Chiefs killer in one of the most important games of the NFL, and that's the game to get you into the Super Bowl. If you don't think, 2-0 against a quarterback who's been to the Super Bowl twice, has won one, and is going into his 5th straight AFC Championship game, I don't know what to tell you. But if he beats him 2-0 at this point, like, Joe Burrow might go into the Super Bowl and win. This might be one of those things. So it will be very impressive if he does that. And obviously, again, we talk about what I was talking about, what he did with the Bills last week. He was able to show that toughness. His offensive line was really good. His decision making, his physicality, his toughness, everything about that Bengals team was just outstanding. Like I said, they played perfect. There's nothing else to say, but they played perfect. And Burrow's the leader on that team. Burrow is the guy who is in the huddles before the games, after the games, making sure that his team is ready for a matchup like that against the Bills, right? A team that everyone had picked, especially me and Kyle on this podcast, that we picked to go to the Super Bowl and to be Super Bowl winners. Josh Allen was going to be our Super Bowl MVP, if not NFL MVP, right? Again, things change throughout the season, but this is going to be a very important game for both the Bills and the Chiefs, because Kyle and I will get into it later, but we're going to talk a little bit about just kind of what this game means in our Pat versus Joe segment. So Kyle, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to come back in. And all right, so we got Kyle back in. So Kyle,
back in. Thanks for the flex.
Yeah, for sure.
So some of the things that I wanted to mention, the Bengals starting position for the field. I'm getting into kind of the big things. I think the keys for the Chiefs to be able to win. Yeah. Because you're right, they do have a pretty bad defense, and they do have Mahomes with an ankle injury not playing at 100%. So there's going to be some things that just have to go the Chiefs' way, and these are the things that I have written down. So the average starting position for the Bengals this year is the 30.7 yard line. That's a pretty healthy starting position. It's ranked 3rd overall in the National Football League. So I think that special teams for the Chiefs have been kind of bad, and the Chiefs are also bad at getting turnovers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I think pinning the Bengals deep into their own territory as much as possible is going to be really important for this game. And I mentioned it, that kickoff that the 49ers had, and then they punted it, and then that big play to CeeDee Lamb happened, but it didn't equal any points, because that's just a small example of how important field position is in the playoffs. So that is definitely going to be one of the keys. And then another big part is the turnovers, okay? 3-1. That is the turnover ratio for the last 3 games between the Chiefs and Bengals.
Oh,
And can
wow.
you guess which one has 3 turnovers and which one has 1?
I'm going to go with, surprisingly, the Chiefs have 3 turnovers.
Yeah, because they haven't won those games, so it's
Yep.
that's like the way we just know, like, they don't turn the ball over. So now we're getting into the turnovers. So this is going to be a challenge for the Chiefs. They've struggled all season long. They have won 14 games this season, but their turnover differential was -3 on the season. Only 9 teams in the entire NFL were worse than that on the season. And also, the other 3 remaining teams in the playoffs, their turnover differential rating is the Bengals are +6, 49ers are +13, Eagles are +8, and now here you have the Chiefs who are -3. So they have definitely got to find ways to get turnovers, I think, in this game, especially with the injury to Mahomes. So good field position, getting some turnovers, and here's the last one, 80%.
Yep.
This one is a little bit vague, but this is why I feel like this is a part of me that's leaning towards the Chiefs, is this statistic right here. 80%. Okay. This is the amount in percentage wise of games Patrick Mahomes has won since he started his career. 80% of his games. So that's 4 out of every 5 games that have gone Mahomes and the Chiefs' way, which is remarkable when you think about that.
Yeah.
4 out of every 5 in his whole career. Are you kidding me? So the Bengals have won 3 in a row against Kansas City. And now I'm basically wondering, okay, statistically, okay, what are the odds that it happens again against the
Yeah.
Mahomes that wins 80% of his games? Like, I almost feel like because they've won the last 3 in a row, it might not be a good thing heading into this game, because it's almost like, do you really think it's going to happen 4 times in a row against Mahomes and the Chiefs? And that's just, if you just go off statistics, like, there's not another team in the league that actually has his number. Like,
Yeah.
nobody has like winning streaks against the Chiefs. It's only the Bengals. They're all alone. And I just wonder about that. It's basic statistics, but if you have a quarterback that wins 80% of his games, what are the odds that one team beats him 4 times in a row? It doesn't seem like it would be that high. So I'm looking at the tight end, Travis Kelce. He had 14 catches last week. I think he's going to have a big game.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the Chiefs game that they had in the AFC Championship last year, the Chiefs got off to a good start. And then in the second half, they took their foot off the gas. And Mahomes said it countless times. He took all the blame. There was just no urgency. Like, if they would have played the second half the way they played the first half, I think things would have gone better. So I do think, if you're a Chiefs fan, the key here is for the Chiefs to get off to a quick lead, just start the game pretty fast and just try to hold that lead and keep the foot on the gas all throughout the whole game. So here's one last thing I'll mention is Travis Kelce, 14 catches. And I wrote down somewhere in here, but I'm not going to go looking for it. But Kelce, I believe he had like 8 catches when he played the Bengals in the regular season this game. So Kelce is going to be one of those guys he's a game changer. He can get in. Yeah, he can get in the space. He can have another 14 catch game. And if you look at, so I looked up, okay, how do the Bengals fare against tight ends? Well, they're the 4th best in fantasy points to tight ends, which translates to like real performance. Like, it sounds like a joke, like fantasy, but it's like, it really is a good translation to how effective a person is on the field. So the Bengals have been pretty good at shutting down tight ends all season long. And this is the last thing I'll mention. The last 3 times the Bengals have played the Chiefs have been the favorite. They were the favorite. They were road favorites against the Bengals in week 13. That was this year's. They were favored by 2.5 points, and they were in Cincinnati. They were favorites in the 2022 AFC Championship game. So they were 2.5 favorites in that one. And they were, I think, they were 7-point favorites in their first matchup that they played each other. So right now, the Bengals being the favorite for the first time, I don't know, everything seems backwards. Like, everything seems like the way that it was working was underdog mentality. You know, you beat them 3 times in a row. Are you going to be able to beat them 4 times in a row? Are you going to be able to beat them 4 times in a row on the road and not an underdog anymore? Like, these are things I'm worried.
And you know, to kind of, I guess, rebuttal that comment too, because I still feel like there is still some sort of like non-belief, I guess I would say, in the Bengals. Now with Mahomes kind of being hurt, right? Like I'm sure maybe more people are leaning towards that. And of course, and now they're favored, right? Like it shows. Like Vegas is like, yo, they are favored even on the road. But I still feel like the Bengals still feel like they have something to prove. And in this game, in beating the Chiefs, they're not like they don't have that mentality of like, yeah, we're coming to play the Chiefs, like whatever, we're going into the Super Bowl next week, right? Or something like that. I still think there's something to prove for them in this game. And even though, like you said, everything seems backwards, they're favorites. The Chiefs look like the worst team in a way, right? Like I still think that the Bengals are like, no, we're not going to go into this game with that, like, yep, we're the favorites who should win. I think they're going to go into this with that chip on their shoulder of, we still have to win a Super Bowl. We still have to prove something to the NFL. We still have to tell everyone, hey, we are not only the new kids in town, but we're going to be here for a while. So I think that mentality, I don't think that mentality hasn't changed, right? And going into this game, you said everything was backwards, and it is, but I just don't think they kind of think of it in a backwards way.
Yeah, it seems I agree with that. And that's part of the problem with getting too deep in analytics is sometimes you have to take a step back and say, like, what is the perspective from the Bengals though? Which ultimately is the common denominator here. It doesn't matter what the media says. All that matters is what is the Bengals' approach and attitude. And like if the Bengals were like, yeah, the Chiefs don't have a chance, and they were being really arrogant, like then you could be like, hey, maybe this is, not going to go in their favor. But they seem to have that same underdog approach that they've always had, because everybody knows that, Mahomes and Arrowhead is always going to be favorited. And the fact that he's hurt and they have one of the worst defenses in the league and they're a 1-point favorite, honestly, to me, that is disrespectful. Like, why would you have a team with a quarterback that's not going to be mobile? He's playing hurt, and then one of the worst defenses in the league, and you just beat the shit out of Buffalo in Buffalo. Like, you just dominated them. Like, there was not like, they pulled ahead. Like, that whole game was just an ass whooping.
Yeah.
And now you're a 1-point favorite. It's like, dude, that's still disrespectful. And that's why I'm picking the Bengals too. And we'll talk more later. I'm really excited about what this kind of means for 2 years in a row, Burrow to best Mahomes in Arrowhead. And I can't wait for that. But that's all I got on this one.
And I do just want to say, for Mahomes, as far as the updates for him, he did practice all day on Wednesday. So he practiced. He said he's been focusing on rehab, on film study, on just doing all that stuff. And I think one of the most important things is, we talked about it and you had mentioned it. Mahomes was like maybe top of the league, or like top 5 or something in like time to throw the ball. But that was due to his ability to get out of like pressure and be able to get outside the pocket, set it, plant his feet, whatever, throw the ball, make those throws. But now with this high ankle sprain, and you said it yourself, you've had a high ankle sprain, and you're like, "What the fuck? This hurts." I'm hobbling.
But low. Apparently, low ankle sprain is what I had. That's like the
Okay.
severe one.
Okay, so the
So
high one that he has isn't necessarily as bad.
no, there's no way he could play. And I'm not just saying that. I couldn't crawl when I
Mhm.
had mine on my hands and knees just
Yeah.
from the weight of it hanging
So
behind. Yeah.
yeah, and that is important in the sense that if he's not able to, if his offensive line is not able to give him that much time, which is the time he, they put him at the top of the league, or give him enough time for his wide receivers to get open, that is when you start to rush him, when you start to blitz him. And I think one of the key things in this game for the Chiefs to even have like a better chance, even as underdogs, a better chance to win is Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon. These guys need to step up in the rush game, because if they see that Mahomes is unable to pass the ball, or is maybe, unable to get plays developed in order to pass the ball deep, the rushing game has to be there. And yeah, sure, you can say, well, then they just need to stop the run, and they're one dimensional again. It's like, yeah, probably, but you mentioned them earlier. Travis Kelce is literally always a weapon. That O line will do what the Bengals did last week. They were out 3 of 5 of their starters on the O line, and they were still able to give Burrow all the time he needed to give that rush game a huge boost. If you don't think that this Chiefs team is not willing to do that, willing to kind of give it their all, in the AFC Conference Championship game, then you guys, if you don't believe that, you don't understand what competition, what sports competition is, because these guys will go out of their way to do anything to make sure they win and move on to the Super Bowl. So I think the rushing game is going to have to improve. And again, Kelce is going to have to continue to be that big playmaker for the Chiefs, because again, if Holmes can't move out of the pocket like he has been, it's going to be a tough day for him trying to get out of the pocket and do the things that he's been doing all season.
Well, I'll just add one more thing to that. I think that I have a little bit different game plan, because if you look at the ESPN has this on the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, it says top 10 offensive guard pass block win rate. Number
Mm-hmm.
1, Joe Thuney, 99%. Number 4, Trey Smith, 96%. So that's the highest pass block win rate. Those are 2 offensive guards for the Chiefs. And then if you look at top center pass block win rate, Creed Humphrey, their center, is number 1, 98%. So 1, 2,
Yeah, the blind
Mahomes,
side, really.
yeah, Mahomes being rushed to throw is
Mm-hmm.
literally him just taking so much time. It's
Mm-hmm.
not even about like, hey, like the blocking wasn't good. It's just like they do backyard football, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
everybody runs their route. And for a normal offense, like you got, okay, first read, second read, third read, throw it.
Mm-hmm.
For the Chiefs, it's like first read, second read, third read, don't love it. Run around,
Yeah.
spin around, and then hit a receiver when he's just running, something that's not even in the route. It just turns into backyard football. I think the Chiefs are going to have to kind of have some structure in this game. Like, hey, we're not going to be able to run around and play backyard football. Let's actually do like Mike Shanahan, and let's draw up plays to get guys open so Mahomes can stay in the
Mm-hmm.
pocket, because this offensive line will give him time. This is a great offensive line. And when you look at the pass rush win rate, the
Mm-hmm.
Bengals don't have a guy in the top 10. So I do think Mahomes is going to have time. Chris Jones is actually number 1 for defensive tackles.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
really good.
he's really good. But pass rush win rate, you do have one Bengal, Trey Hendrickson. Trey
Mm-hmm.
Hendrickson. It goes Micah Parsons, Hassan Reddick, Miles
Mm-hmm.
Garrett, Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. So look for Trey Hendrickson to be the guy that's disrupting Patrick Mahomes. And
Mm-hmm.
then you talk about running the ball. Well, if you look at defensive end outside linebacker run stop win rate, number
Mm-hmm.
5, Sam Hubbard.
Oh, he's so good.
He's so good. He's the guy that took the ball and ran it.
Yeah,
The bully from Michigan.
What a game that was.
Yeah. So he's gonna be your guy for run stopping, and then Hendrickson's gonna be your pass rush guy. But I would say Mahomes just needs to kind of let that backyard football stuff go and just do like Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Like stay in the pocket, go through your reads, and this is kind of the true test of quarterback. Like Mahomes kind of, I don't want to say like it's not a discredit him that he has to roll out and play backyard football, but can he just stay in the pocket and make his reads and deliver a ball? Does it always have to be all of these extra theatrics, or can he just play quarterback like a pocket quarterback would, like a Peyton Manning would, just for a game because he's not healthy? And I think it's going to be an interesting thing to see. I don't think personally, I think he can't help himself. I think he's going to run around anyway. In his nature.
But that's kind of like if I'm Andy Reid, man, like that's kind of what I'm afraid of. I don't want him to make it worse. But I mean, these guys go through, like when we're talking rehab for these guys' injury, we're talking like hours of rehab.
Lasers, freaking
lasers, man. We're talking millions of dollars invested in these players. They're gonna get the best at all times whenever they want. Like it's just that's what it is. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a hell of a game. It is gonna be such a good game. So I can't wait to do that stream with you, Kyle. That's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be amazing.
It is
amazing.
And we have a good plan for the games on Sunday. So everybody definitely tune in to see what Kyle and I have cooked up for that Sunday conference championship Sunday.
And that's gonna be the second game of Sunday.